Republic of Congo's elections after many voters were unable to cast their votes. And it's been a day marred by violence with at least 5 people killed. Organising and monitoring the election were mammoth tasks. The DRC has 32 million eligible voters who cast their ballots at more than 60,000 polling stations scattered around a country the size of Western Europe. More than 18,000 candidates are competing for 500 seats in Parliament, and 11 are running for president. Well, that left some voters with ballot papers the size of newspapers, which barely fit in the ballot boxes. Yvonne Dege reports from Kinshasa.
An argument erupts at a polling station halfway into voting in Congo's presidential and parliamentary election. The accusation is that one of the election commission workers was secretly trying to move ballot papers from this polling station to another polling station without the various witnesses that are needed. And if you come a bit, you can see into the vehicle there are many election materials, ballot papers being moved somewhere. Voters eventually overran the vehicle and got their ballot papers back. It's a sign of just how serious this vote is. Things went on relatively peacefully here, but there were thousands of polling stations where materials never showed up, setting off violence in which several people were killed and more than a dozen polling stations torched. Some Congolese turned up to find their names missing from the voters' list and the names of their candidates absent from ballot papers. Pre-election violence on Saturday, in which 7 were killed, heightened tensions ahead of voting day. The leader of the opposition was barred from holding his final campaign rally, creating fears among his supporters of a systematic effort to defraud them. But the head of the UN mission says voting went on relatively well.
That all of the stations are opening as early as possible, and I know that there will be a full voting period allowed for all voters in the case of polling stations that have been late opening.
Organising these elections has been a challenge. There are 32 million people eligible to vote and 63,000 polling stations. But many Congolese won't accept that as a reason for not holding a free, fair and transparent vote. Yvonne Dege, Al Jazeera, in the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kinshasa.
Well, for more, I'm joined in the studio by Africa analyst and writer Patrick Wilmot. Thanks very much indeed for coming in.
Yeah,
so
welcome.
They've extended the voting on this. A good sign or a bad sign?
Neither. I mean, I don't think it makes any difference because whatever happens, it's going to be, fraudulent election that will bring back Kabila, who is not a very competent person and an extremely corrupt person.
So, I mean, it seems that the monitors at the moment seem to be saying that it's going quite well. Do you think that they have a proper idea of what's happening?
Wishful thinking. I don't think that a few hundred or a few thousand monitors in the biggest country in Africa, almost 3 million square kilometers, are in a position to monitor exactly what goes on. Besides, I mean, in African elections, you don't perpetrate fraud at the polling stations. You do it at the places where you collate the votes. The ballot boxes are being stuffed not at the polling stations, but also at the headquarters where, Kabila has control.
And we've seen already some violence, at least 5 people killed. What's your prediction for the aftermath of this election? I mean, some people have talked about a return to civil war. Do you think it can be that bad, or?
I don't think civil war is the word I would use for a place like the Congo. Civil war implies a sort of organization where 2 or more different groups will be fighting each other. What I expect is generalized violence all over the country, especially in Kinshasa and other places where.
And you expect that because you expect the result to be Kabila, or?
It's almost 100% certain that it will be Kabila, because a person like Kabila will not allow himself to be thrown out of office. There were rumors for months ago that he was manufacturing extra ballot papers, and it's a credible rumor.
So one thing that has changed, I suppose, is that now we're on to kind of first past the post system, so there won't be a runoff. Does that make a significant difference, do you think, in an election like this?
I don't think it. Well, yeah, it does, because the last time when it was controlled by the external organizations, there was a certain amount of, propriety on the second runoff, and Kabila didn't win by much. But this time, I think he will fix it so that he gets the kind of results that you get in a place like Gambia.
Do you think, I mean, you mentioned the international community that were involved last time around, and they're not so much this time. Should they have been involved, or was, you know, why do you think they weren't?
They weren't involved as much this time because they think that there is more stability. Also, the international community has more things to worry about and have less money to put into cases like this.
Okay. Patrick Wilmot, thank you very much indeed.
You're
Always
so
good to talk to you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, al-Shabaab rebels have banned the